Hello, and welcome to the Comprehensive Assessment of Leadership for Learning, or CALL. This short presentation will introduce you to the CALL system by discussing the foundation of and theory behind CALL, as well as show how the CALL system operates. We begin with a common assertion found across educational research, which is that effective leadership is a significant factor in advancing student learning. However, the key here is that we are talking about leadership as a function rather than as an individual leader. Also, while of course we recognize that leadership needs to be effective, how do we actually know that it is effective? There is a misconception that an individual school leader can enter a struggling school and, like a superhero, save the day. That it is the work of a single person that makes all the difference in a school's success. Well, we know from studying and working in schools that that is simply not the case. Because if you wanted to determine the effectiveness of leadership in a school, and you only focused on the individual principal, you would be missing a lot of what else is going on. This is the theory of distributed leadership, that leadership is the result of various people, both formal and informal leaders, in a school building interacting and taking on various responsibilities. And while the principal does a lot of the work, this individual often acts as an orchestra conductor, organizing the work and ensuring that the work in the school is effective. It is this perspective of distributed leadership that provides the foundation for the Comprehensive Assessment of Leadership for Learning, or CALL. So, what is CALL? CALL is an online formative assessment and feedback system designed to measure school-wide distributed leadership. To better understand the CALL system, here are the key features. CALL begins with a multi-source survey, which means that all teachers, all administrators, as well as instructional and student support staff should take the survey. The survey itself focuses on leadership tasks. It is practice-based. Most of the CALL survey questions inquire about practices occurring in the school, regardless of who is actually doing that work. CALL focuses on the routine tasks in a school. After the survey is completed, the CALL system automatically generates a data feedback report. The feedback contains targeted data to support school improvement. So, what does CALL actually measure then? The CALL survey measures leadership practice in 5 core domains. And within each of these 5 core domains, there are 4 subdomains. These subdomains are the primary units of analysis for feedback and for the research conducted to validate this instrument. Here are the 5 core domains of CALL. The first domain of CALL is focus on learning. This domain examines the extent to which school leaders prioritize student learning. It focuses on school leaders' work to establish a shared vision, promote instructional improvement, and to support students who traditionally struggle. Domain 2 focuses on monitoring, teaching, and learning. The work here involves both the formative and summative evaluation of student learning, as well as both the formative and summative evaluation of teaching. Domain 3, building nested learning communities, measures leadership practices that cultivate professional learning opportunities, socially distributed leadership, and instructional support, as well as coaching and mentoring. Domain 4 focuses on the acquisition and allocation of school resources. These resources include money, time, expertise, and community involvement. And finally, Domain 5, maintaining a safe and effective learning environment, examines the extent to which school leaders cultivate an environment conducive to learning. In this domain, student discipline policy is examined as well as the processes for providing a safe haven to students who traditionally struggle. Those 5 core domains and the 20 subdomains within them are what Call measures, but it does so not by just focusing on the individual principal. Call focuses on the work of school leaders. To further explain the difference between an individual-based assessment and an assessment of distributed leadership, let's look at a sample survey question that you might find on a traditional principal evaluation survey. The question asks, how effective is the principal in implementing professional development activities? We see that the principal is the focus of this question. And the response options are the traditional rating scale that you would find on most surveys. Well, what if it's the case that the principal is not the one who is doing the work of implementing PD in a school? What if it's an assistant principal or a teacher leader or a district leader? Let's look at the same construct and how it is addressed in the Call survey. On Call, this question asks, which of the following best describes how well school-wide professional development activities reflect the instructional goals of the school? Here, the focus is on the actual professional development activities because that is really what we want to know about. How effective is the PD? And the response options are potential examples of what's happening in the school. So now, when a teacher is taking the survey, he or she is engaged in reflection and thinking about how PD impacts their work. Which now brings us to data. Once the survey is completed, the school leaders receive a great deal of data. And we know that school leaders work with data on a yearly, monthly, and even weekly basis. The examples of data you see here may just be the beginning. However, if the data is not presented in a user-friendly manner, the work of data use may be counterproductive as school leaders spend time trying to make sense of the information. And then they are often left with the daunting question of what are they supposed to do now with all this data? That is why the Call developers wanted to create a feedback system that actually supported those who are being assessed. So let's pause here for a moment to talk more about the development of Call. The Call instrument was developed as part of a grant from the Institute of Educational Sciences in the U.S. Department of Education. The survey was based on a set of rubrics developed by UW-Madison researchers based on extensive research on school leadership practice. The survey was then vetted by expert school practitioners. This was an iterative, consistent process throughout the course of Call's development. As part of the validation of Call, the Call survey was piloted in 120 schools across the country. With the resulting data from that pilot, researchers validated the Call instrument against other measures of leadership effectiveness, such as school climate and student achievement data. So, in preparing to use Call, here's what a school should expect. The Call survey takes approximately 40 minutes to complete. The survey can be completed as a whole staff in one sitting, or a survey taker can also take the survey during an open window of time, 2 weeks for example. At any time, a survey user can exit the survey and return to it and continue where the user left off. The Call team will be able to provide support with the administration of the Call survey. Please visit the Call website, leadershipforlearning.org, to learn more about Call. You can view a Call sample survey by clicking on Sample in the upper left corner of the website, as well as a sample report. And please contact the Call team for more information. And thank you for your participation in the comprehensive assessment of Leadership for Learning, or Call.